Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. It's not very often we have a developer or a publisher of a game actually provide me with reason to produce a follow-up video in which they've managed to earn even a modicum of grudging respect from me, but I have to say the actions of Ars Logic and In-Game Studios, the publishers and developers respectively of the game Devoid of Shadows, have managed to do exactly that. Last night I had posted a video in which I outlined how the translator for the game had pitched a high-grade hissy fit on the game's discussion threads after their work was criticized. Attempting to sound far more intelligent than they actually turned out to be, they threatened legal action against Steam users in an effort to silence the criticism being leveraged against the English translations that were within the game. Also, within that video, I had pointed out how the publishers for the game seemed to be acting in a rather benign fashion and were seemingly fairly reasonable, and were merely attempting to gather information until the translator decided to spew their vomitous bile all over the discussion threads. And it would seem that their level-headedness is prevailing. Very early this morning, the Ars Logica publishers posted the following announcement. First of all, we apologize to all those who were offended by our reaction to the criticism of translations and the message of our translator. It was our mistake, and we are very upset by this situation. We are grateful to everyone who sent us constructive comments. At the moment, we are working on correcting mistakes and inaccuracies in the text, and we ask everyone to refrain from trolling. Yeah, we're really very upset by what happened. They continued on in the conversation thread of that announcement to say, the translator was a member of our team and had access to our account. Yes, it was our fault. When there were claims for translation, we asked the translator to write a comment from his own account, but he used the general account. We did not take it seriously enough, and this, of course, was a mistake. Now, the translator has already been dismissed, and we are looking for another person who will be able to correct the texts. Now, judging from the severely different tones that we saw in the statements that I covered last night, I would actually tend to believe that these publishers are in earnest. I'm willing to chalk this up as a single person acting as a complete douche nozzle and simply leave it at that. We've seen how quickly and loudly the community will react to any hint of misconduct in this regard, and I feel reasonably certain that any such bad behavior or improprieties moving forward will be met with the same zeal and vigor as previously. More than likely, even more so, as being these people were making use of the same login, there are those that have already raised the question of how are we to know this wasn't the same person. But I think the sheer unadulterated arrogance of the translator versus the calm demeanor of the person who has been conversing with the community today is enough. Also, a person claiming to be the developers from In-Game Studios had the following to say as well. But actually, before that, I have to ask, why doesn't this person have a developer tag next to their name? It's very odd, to say the least. Anyways, he stated, "Hi guys, my name is Gleb Sokolov. I'm one of the developers of Devoid of Shadows from In-Game Studios. Firstly, I must say that I had a serious conversation with Ars Logica publishing team and I insisted on a revision of the policy of communication with the community. I am deeply convinced that it's unacceptable to use repressive measures against players who rightly criticize the shortcomings of the game. At the moment, all players who have been banned from the forums are already unlocked. I believe that the translator made a mistake when he threatened the players with legal persecution. It's just stupid, and due to the fact that the translator previously had no experience in the game industry and communication with players. And of course, Ars Logica made a mistake allowing the publication of this message. I have been developing games for more than 15 years, and I saw different situations. I am sad that all this happened with the game over which my team worked. The development of the game was not easy. Since Ars Logica was engaged in the creation of game design, plot, text, localizations of the game, we could not always influence these things. Unfortunately, not everything turned out as we wanted, for many reasons, but we tried to do everything we can to ensure that players are satisfied. Now we are working on a patch to fix bugs and flaws in the game. It's important for me to have an honest relationship with the community of players, and I will do everything in my power to ensure that the situation with localizations is also corrected. So it would seem that the developers and the publishers are doing what they can to make the situation right, and in all honesty, I do feel for them. They had started off simply attempting to gather information in regards to how the translation was bad, because how are they supposed to know if the translation was any good or not? It's not like they can simply read it themselves. If they could, then they wouldn't have needed a translator to begin with. That said, it seems there are multiple people within the community willing to help them out if it means a better product, and the English was definitely not the greatest in the world. So there we have it. Devoid of Shadows gets a redemption story of a sort. And really, the sort of thing we see far too often, and anytime we can come out the other side with developers and publishers willing to listen and to work with their community, everybody wins and everybody gets to have some fun. because that's what gaming should be about, after all. It shouldn't be a constant us versus them battle. It doesn't need to be. Collaboration and cooperation can and will happen, and when it does, sometimes you end up with something awesome. As always, please do let me know what you think down in the comments below. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.